Hi there, I'm Jersey Droz, cartoonist and teaching artist, and today I'm going to be painting this drawing of Kermit the Frog in the Wild West Showdown scene from the Muppet movie. We're going to get started right now. So, this time, for those who have been watching the other live streams, this time I came prepared. Check it out. Actual, like my watercolor brushes and a little glass of water, which already has some yellow paint in it, so I was mixing up some yellow paint before I got started. So I took my big brush and, just gently applied like a little wash of water on here to wet the paper ahead of time. Somebody asked me on some other forums, how do you keep the paper from buckling? And the truth is I don't. You can see it's buckling right now. I probably should tape it down to something. I'm continuing to iterate and learn from different drawing streams. So you can see also that Kermit has blue all over him. Again, I don't want to assume that y'all have been following along in every live stream I've done, but that is what is called drawing gum. It's a masking fluid that I apply over top of him so that the paint will not get through when I'm painting over for the backgrounds. And I'll be able to paint him afterwards. I'll peel that blue stuff off. Paint him afterwards. Probably a lot of you know this, but you know what? There's young people who watch my channel, and I want to make sure that they are not alienated or excluded by what I do here. So what I'm doing right now, doing a wash of yellow over everything. I'm going to have the background be all kind of monochromatic, kind of sepia tone. That's the plan. I don't know if I'm going to pull it off. But I want him to pop. So I'm going to use a lot of like oranges and yellows and reds and earth tones for this part. I'm using traditional brushes. Hey, Tom. Instead of using my plastic travel brushes. Just because this brush is like way wider for doing these washes in the background. I'll break up my smaller travel brushes when I paint Kermit. Drawing gum, Tom. Gum. You know what I meant. All right, let's mix some more colors. Orange. So my plans thus far is to sort of do like a gradient of yellow to orange to like a reddish color, like implying a sunset kind of thing. And then I'm going to go over the buildings and the ground and the dust being kicked up with a little bit of brown and purple to give it a little bit of definition, but let it still blend into the background. And what I might have to do is while this dries, I'm going to have to take a break and ink something else while I wait for this to dry. Whoops, that is getting orange in there, pal. Yes. Yeah, because like I said in past streams, when I had took my watercolor class, we had hair dryers actually on hand for over top of the painting, let it dry really fast. Didn't prepare for that today, so I think while this dries, I'll switch to something else. Good thing I always have a backup. I have a backup today. Okay, so Kermit, you go over there. Break out 1970s Paddington Bear. I'm going to ink up. With what? A couple of brush pens. What I always use. So, if you're just joining the live streams, I've been, ever since I switched to Tuesdays, I switched what I'm doing. My Baron Von Bear streams are now, oh, you know what? Check this out. Oh my gosh, that makes such a difference. Right. For those who haven't been tuning in every week, my graphic novel, Baron Von Bear and the Case of the Two-Faced Statue, got picked up by Iron Circus Comics, so I'm now under contract on the book, and I'm going to be drawing that for the next year and a half. But I can't share all of that material, so my public live streams had to change. So keeping with the theme of what Baron Von Bear is about, I decided to do a series of famous characters who are cute and brave, because that is sort of the theme of Baron Von Bear. It's one of the themes anyway. And I would call Paddington Bear one of those cute, brave characters. Especially, my favorite is the 1970s stop-motion animated Paddington, which is what this drawing is based on. And the time it takes me to ink this, my Kermit drawing will be dry, ready for the next round of colors. Thank you for the congratulations. Yes. Yeah, it's I'm very, very happy about that. I've wanted to do that book for a long time. And I did an email, sort of like in my email newsletter, I told the story of like basically chronicling all the iterations of that character. And the first time I ever drew him was around 2001, 2002. And he actually made some cameos in some of my books over the years, including The Front Rebirth. He showed up as Jared the Abominable Snowman's plushie. But I've been drawing him. He's been populating my sketchbooks for going on 20 years now. And I never knew what to do with him. I was just like, I want to do something with this character someday. And in fall of 2018, was it really that long ago? No, it was 2019. Fall of 2019, I put together a pitch for the book and was shopping it around. Shopped it around for, almost 2 years. And finally got picked up. Yeah, the 1970s Paddington cartoons, which you can find a bunch of them on YouTube. And I actually got like a British DVD. That was the only way I was able to get it. Oh my gosh, they're so charming. Because Paddington in the cartoon is a three-dimensional puppet, with all the little armatures inside of him so they can pose him and everything. But every other character in the story is a paper cutout. It gives it this kind of surrealistic kind of charm that I really enjoy. And I also love the narrator's voice. I love that we can't see Paddington's mouth and he doesn't emote that much. It has this face and like the little muzzle moves every once in a while. But like when he gives people a hard stare, he just looks like this. So yeah, it's probably a little bit of inspiration for like some of the idea behind Baron von Bear and how his face doesn't really emote. Did anything change? Oh, in those 20 years of iterating of Baron von Bear? Oh yeah, a lot changed. The original idea was, but Jamie, it was not thought through. Okay, this was me doodling on my sketchbook. He's gonna be called Barry Mason. It was basically gonna be like Perry Mason, but with a bear. Isn't it true? That kind of thing. And two problems. One, I don't know anything about the law. I mean, I could study it and everything, but I don't really have the interest to do. I mean, besides, like, I like watching Perry Mason shows, but I don't really care enough about the subject matter to study it and bone up on it. And also, I'm not even sure about, like, what am I trying to say by calling something Barry Mason? Who am I making it for then? Later on, I called him Dr. Bear, just as another placeholder name. And all I knew was that I wanted to do rip-roaring Indiana Jones style adventure storytelling, but with really cute characters. So Sylvanian families meets Indiana Jones was basically the idea, or calico critters, I guess is what they're called now. Yes, Mama Lion. Yes, you are. I don't know exactly the video you're talking about, but this is one of those things that I enjoy that kind of story a lot. The Lone Ranger is that kind of story. Zorro is that kind of story. Like, they are the principled hero who acts on the world, and the world changes as a result of it. They are not the transforming characters. They are just the agents of transformation. And Paddington is definitely one of those characters. And I love that about him. Hard to sell when you're trying to sell a graphic novel pitch, though. Because my pitch for Boulder and Fleet Adventures for Hire was basically that principle. Was like, they don't transform, the world transforms as a result of interacting with them. And the common advice I kept getting over and over again was like, well, readers really want stories where the heroes transform. I'm like, do they? Yes, Jamie, I suppose I could have like Barry Mason be like a book he reads. Or, you know, the world I've made for these characters is like one where you can have like fantasy stuff and like technological stuff. So, I mean, there's nothing to say I couldn't have a TV show. Although Perry Mason was a book, Earl Stanley Gardner. And in one of the iterations of the various versions of Baron von Bear, like after he changed to Baron von Bear, I knew I wanted him to have something to do with cursed objects. That was going to be the thrust. Because I'm also a fan of Friday the 13th, the TV series, the Fox television show from like the late 80s, early 90s. And the whole principle being that the heroes go out into the world and have to reclaim all these cursed things that were dispersed by some evil dude. So I played with lots of different versions. Like, one was he was going to be friends with a robot named Lord Tractorman, and some lady dinosaur. I forget what her name was. I'd have to go back to my notes. And they were going to be. It was going to be revealed in the story that they were actually cursed objects at one point, or something like that. I forget all the. It's in a sketchbook someplace, and I just couldn't figure out where to go with it. And then I did the mini comic, which was in 2018. And in that, I introduced the concept of he has these little ghosts who live in a staff called the Wisps. And he doesn't have any magic powers himself, but he relies on the Wisps to help him locate and decurse cursed objects. So instead of like Friday the 13th, where it's like, let's take them and put them back in the hold or whatever, we make them safe again. And the new pitch that got sold is modifying that idea a little bit more, which I will not go into for a couple reasons. One, because I don't want to spoil the story years before it comes out, because I haven't finished writing. I mean, I finished a draft of the script, but I am trusting that the story is going to change through the many iterations of editing and rewriting it. But also, you know, don't want to spoil the story ahead of time. So yeah, it's a modified version of that. I made some alterations to like make it a little bit more narratively and thematically interesting. I don't know what the warehouse is, Tom, but I'm betting it's probably the story that inspired the Friday the 13th TV series. It sounds like something that would be akin to what I was describing. Okay. Paddington is inked. Go back to Kermit the Frog. And he's still a little damp. But not so damp that I can't put in my details now. Back out. Yeah, I can't remember where the wisps came from as a concept. I just know I've always been a fan. Let me change to my 3-up so you can watch mix paint too. I've always been a fan of the idea of like the concept of the will-o'-the-wisps, these little balls of light that distract people. And so I thought, okay, well, I haven't heard that used a lot for like sorcery. And then I got to like think about, well, like the thing I get excited about, and you can correct me if you don't, I mean, let me know if this doesn't sound terribly interesting to talk about, because I'm really trying to figure out over this next year and a half, like how do I craft my marketing messages around this book. I get excited about the design language that opportunities that happen when you introduce characters like the wisps, because they don't have faces, right? They're just little balls of colored light. And so I thought, well, how can I communicate their personality visually? Through dialogue, of course, but can I also communicate it visually? So I thought, okay, they'll all have different shaped eyes, and the eyes will be like the first clue as to what their inner life is like. And so you see Violet, she's got like angular eyes, and Blue has more like horizontal, like sleepy eyes. Greens are rounder, and oranges are more alert and vertical. And then I thought, oh, well, I can communicate what their personality is in the way they move. It'll tell you about their magic and who they are. So Violet has cleverness magic and speed magic. So she moves very angularly, like a Tron vehicle kind of thing. Orange is heat and strength energy, and so he has a flame trail, right? Stuff like that. I get excited about that kind of stuff, but I worry sometimes that like that's the kind of like inside baseball or behind the scenes stuff that's like less interesting to a young person. So young people who are watching, if any of my students are watching, you let me know if that sounds interesting or not. Or did I just say a bunch of words that don't really add up to anything? And please let me know the truth. How long does it usually take to get a story from signing? Actually came on Fox years later, early 2000s, to market. I forgot about the wisps being mentioned in Brave. Right. How long does it take? Yeah, so I feel like Baron von Bear got picked up pretty quickly, relatively speaking. I mean, because I only had it on the market for, a couple years. And I'm already under contract on it, and it's going to come out in 2023. So I have 18 months to draw the book, to write and draw the book. I'm in the middle of scripting it right now. All right. So I haven't got enough color mixed. I'm going to mix a little bit more. Get some water. There was, speaking of wisps, there was a Spider-Man villain named Will-o'-the-Wisp who was like just like this weird dude in a green jumpsuit and long blonde hair. I remember as a teenager not thinking very much of him. I'm not going to try to be too uptight about the way the colors blend and mix on this. I want this to remain kind of a little bit abstract, a little bit pushed into the background. Oh, so the warehouse was a TV show. I was thinking it was like some book. Yeah, that's good. Anyway, the inspiration really boils down to I was just excited about the prospect of trying to do something with like a lot of satisfying action and like a little bit of a spookiness, like a horror vibe to it, but for middle school. Partially because that's the audience that I like to serve the most, but also because that's about the level of horror and spookiness I can take. Oh, I agree with you, Jamie, that I think it's important to the story that they have those features. I just like worry that like I'm continually concerned about talking my audience out of reading it by focusing on technical aspects, right? Like, oh, what? Do I got to have like a PhD in design language in order to read your book? Jeez. Right? That's what I get concerned about. So my instinct right now is that I should be really focusing on the stories that inspire the comic more so than the technical aspects. But I don't know because I got into an argument with some other people about this. They're like, no, I found that stuff fascinating. So I'll have to keep playing with how I talk about it. But yeah, Mama Lion, I'm with you. Really like realistic, scary stuff is. I just don't have the stamina for it. I used to when I was younger. I think part of that, and I think about this a lot when it comes to like writing scary stuff for young people. Is I think part of it is the transgression of like, oh, I'm not supposed to be watching this. Mom and dad told me not to watch Annabelle. I'll get nightmares. So I'm gonna watch it. No, I got nightmares. There. I think that turned out okay, right? Look too bad. So, by the way, I did make sure to have this information at the ready this time. if you want to know more about this project, if I've intrigued you in any way, and you haven't joined either the Patreon or my free monthly newsletter, I'm doing a monthly roundup of all the stuff that I make and putting in a newsletter along with some behind-the-scenes Baron Von Bear stuff. But if you want to see all the Baron Von Bear behind-the-scenes stuff, my Thursday live stream is now Patreon only, and that's at patreon.com/Jersey. And I'm actually sharing the material as I make it. So, okay, back to painting Kermit the Frog. So now comes the tricky part. See if I can peel off this stuff. Like this rubber cement kind of thing. And the reason it's tricky is sometimes when I put it on too thick, I've pulled off my ink lines, and then I get really sad. I almost feel like this is not an interesting part of the process to watch somebody peel up stuff like this. I feel like this is where I should have a pre-recorded commercial to go to. While I'm peeling the rubber off of my drawing, word from our sponsor. Joseph, I think you have found a way to compartmentalize the two audiences that way. Yes, in a general sense, I think you're right. Because even on this live stream, people have asked me about world building. Like, what world building have you done for your book? And I'm like, I haven't been doing much world building. I've been doing a lot of intuition and sort of suggesting world building to my future self. And actually, that was on last week's Thursday live stream. I was talking about this idea of naming scary places. That was one of the things I was sharing as a behind the scenes thing, like how I struggle with that part and what I was landing on and how I was trying to back away and think about, okay, what's the general principle of what I'm trying to arrive at here? And maybe that will reveal some of my choices. And people are still talking about horror movies in the chat, and one that I watched recently that was actually pretty kind of, I would say, gorier than I usually watch, but I really enjoyed it. Although watching it during COVID might not be the best idea. At least when I watched it, I was like, oof. Train to Busan, which is a Korean film, Korean zombie film about people trapped on a train as a zombie outbreak is happening. Oh, see, I peeled up some of the lines. I have to fix some of the lines. See that? Oh, what a drag. Put it on too thick on his face, and I knew it when I did it. Dry a little bit while I mix up some greens. We all know what scene this is from, right? In the Muppet movie? He's getting ready to show down with Doc Hopper. Hopper says, I got lots of friends. Yellow. We're going to do yellow highlight on him. There's a sequel to Train to Busan? You kidding me? Where do you go after that? This was actually, if I'm not mistaken, this was the first movie I saw in the cinema, in the theater. And I know it came out pretty early. I mean, I was like a really little kid when it came out. I think I saw it in, like, it was like a re-release in some theaters. I remember my parents going to take me to go see it. And I remember the part where Animal grows super big and grows out of the back of, what was I? I was like all of like maybe 4.5, 5 years old. And Animal pops out of the back of that Wild West building and he's all gigantic and he scares off the bad guys. I remember that scared me so bad. Called Peninsula? Oh man, you're kidding me. I already imagine what that's about. Peninsula is a body of land surrounded by water on 3 sides, meaning only one way in, one way out. So it's the same kind of concept as being trapped on a train, right? Oh my gosh. That's so good. I gotta remember, Tom, I was born in 74, so by all family reporting, I did go see the first Star Wars movie in the theater, but I have no recollection of it. I do the first Star Wars movie I remember seeing in the theater, since it's May the 4th, I guess we can talk about that, is Return of the Jedi. I remember seeing that. And what I remember about that, and I know I've told this story elsewhere, is that I was only, let's see, it was 83, so I was like 9 years old, 10 years old, somewhere in the neighborhood. And I went to the movie with my little brother and my little sister. So let's see, my little brother would have been 7, and my sister would have been 5. And what's amazing to me is that like we got dropped off at the theater, and it's like, here you go, we're at the movies, bye, see you in a couple hours. And there was like literally a line around the block in this little tiny town where I lived. And I remember the first time you see Lando in Return of the Jedi, when he pulls his mask down and everything, I was in the theater and like everybody roared with, screaming and applause and cheering. And I remember I'm 9, right? And I'm like, can you do that? Can you yell in the theater? That's weird. I thought we were supposed to be quiet. But like there was an energy in that room. People were very excited about that movie. Yes, Tom, I'm a younger man. All right, let's do some purple and brown now, so I can do the shading. I already have it right here. A little bit more indigo in there. All right. time to mix up some Kermit green. Got a good start going right here. So I was worried this was going to happen, but what did happen indeed is I put on too much of that masking fluid, or that, what do they call it? Drawing gum. So the paper's like a little bit, got a funny texture to it. See you, Tom. Thanks for stopping by. In case I don't see you again. Yeah, so there's like a little bit of business going on right here. That paper got ripped. Let's see what I can do with it. Yeah, I guess it does kind of simulate Kermit's fuzziness, doesn't it? All right, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a purple in here. I need to wait for this to try a little bit more. Guess next time I am going to bring a hairdryer. That is my experience as well, Chris, with masking fluid. I feel like the sea spray drawing I did a couple weeks ago, like it turned out just right, and I think it's because I did it with a really light coat. Because I was working with larger areas, I put it on a little thick. And you roll the dice, you pay the price. Yellow here. I got to put some little bit of dark purple here. A little bit darker yet. Yeah, I can see that little bit on his face is kind of where that paper got ripped is like a little bit of a problem there. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Any watercolor artists here in the chat want to give me any tips? I will gratefully receive them. I anticipate it'll be something along the lines of like a little bit of sandpaper on it and then repaint it, but I don't know. Is there anything left to do on this one besides try to repair that mess that happened over here? Try razoring the fibers away to repaint it, but it would be a delicate process. Yeah, you know what? I might just call this one. call it a loss. It's it's a good attempt. I post it online. I'll just Photoshop that out, and I won't put it in my Etsy store. Got other. The rest of the painting turned out pretty good, though. Not too bad. How much time I got? 42 minutes. I got 18 minutes left. I think I'm going to put in a little bit more contrast on those boots, and then I'll call it finished. I mean, on the one hand, the masking fluid did give me the opportunity to do that background like that. That would have been impossible to do if I was trying to brush all the way up to the edges, so. Trade-offs, trade-offs, trade-offs. Authentic battle damage. Well, thank you for showing up, Mama Lion. Thanks to everybody for hanging out with me when I do these things. Nice to be able to make some art for myself and have other people join in on the fun when I'm doing it. So, I think I'll call this one good for now. So next week, I will probably wind up painting this Paddington. If you like hanging out with me on Thursday, you can join my Patreon, and I'm going to be working on this. I'm doing some character design work for one of the antagonists of Baron von Bear. So I did the drawing last week. This week I'm going to digitally paint it and talk about some of the ideas I have about the villains of the story. So, and the other thing I'll point you at is, I put, well, not this one, but I put most of my drawings in my Etsy store. That's at tinyastronaut.com. We'll get you there. And once again, there's the Baron von Bear in the case of the Two-Face statue. If you haven't signed up for the email list or the Patreon, you can do so at baronvonbear.com. So, I guess I'm going to wrap this one up a little bit early. Let's give you a close look at how it shook out. Not too bad. So thanks again, everybody. And I'll be back next Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 10:30 a.m. Central Time, 9:30 a.m. Pacific Time. And you can follow me on Twitch or YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, please consider hitting like on the video. That helps more people find it. And if you're on Twitch, thank you for following me on Twitch. And yeah, until next time, I've been Jersey Drozd of rss.jdrozd.com for everything that I make. And, patreon.com/Jersey. Okay, bye.